have that verse already.
Okay. She's wearing glasses, so to look more sophisticated.
We're live. So, welcome everybody to Mondays with,
Mendoza.
and we are, I think, a little bit early.
Are we early?
Yes. So, for the first time, we are early. And as we go and talk about this, let's just welcome people first. For let's see, where are people? Let me get to the protocols here. Where are the sections here? Okay, great. So
I think you're gonna do most of the talking for this.
oh,
one,
you're gonna
right?
do most of the asking. Yes, Ayan. So we have folks.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Ayan, welcome. Thanks for joining us again from Iloilo. Oh, we have several folks from Iloilo. Ayan, and then we have folks from those parts, just Iloilo. Oh, we have someone who just saw us speak at Concentrics. Yes, so we're still in our same speaking mode. George Castro. Yeah, it was an awesome event. Thanks for having us. I was really enjoying with our kids also. From Batangas, from Riyadh, and welcome all these guys. Ayan, so Caris also watched the talk we gave earlier from Abu Dhabi, from Davao. Ayan, welcome guys. Pearly also from Japan, Ohio. Gozaimasu. Okay, so babe, what are we gonna talk about today? What did we promise everyone
All
to
right.
talk about? Yeah.
So this is a continuing topic because last week we talked about what to look for in a man, but also what to pray for in your husband because it works both ways, right? The fact is some people are already in a marriage, so when we look at these traits, they might feel like, oh my goodness, I should have looked for these before because my husband or my spouse or my wife is not like that. But this is where we have to remember that we can still pray for our spouse to change in these areas and to
Yeah.
grow in these areas, and we can encourage them, right, in these areas.
Let's recap. What were the things that you remember from what to look for? No? Okay,
Huh?
no. I saw that face. You're not ready. You don't remember.
It's
I
gonna
caught
be
my
like a
wife
quick- No,
off guard
because
there.
we don't have a lot of time.
Okay, let's focus. All right.
So we want to make sure we give time to this topic.
Sure.
So this topic is really more for the men.
Other side now.
The men, yeah.
What
So
to
you're
look
gonna
for
do
in a
most
woman.
of the talking, yeah. What to look for in a
Woman.
woman.
Yeah.
A woman that you plan to
Marry.
marry.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're married to them already, then
What do you think? Let's
so
just
if you're a married woman, then this is something you also want to kind of
work on in yourself.
Yes, right.
But why don't we ask, what do you think men tend to look for
in a woman.
in a woman they want to marry?
Yes. And if you're a man, you can chat away and say, what is it that you're looking for in a woman? Go. Hello from Argentina.
Maybe we could just match make some people here.
Oh, you never know. You might just matchmake yourselves as you chat away. Maybe some people are here for that reason.
So let's ask the question
Yeah,
again.
go. So,
What do people,
what do
men,
you look for? If you're a guy, what are you looking for in a woman? If you're a girl, what do you think guys are looking for in a woman?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, go. Come on,
Yeah.
this is so exciting for us. I love this part because I always want to hear what people have to say and to get their thoughts because we also learn from everybody, right?
Here we go.
Oh, they must be thinking because it's not coming in yet.
Yeah, I think it's easier to talk about what to look for in a man, maybe because there's more girls.
Because
Maybe.
men have more stuff to improve on.
Yeah, there's more things to kind of filter through. Girls are easier. Ayan, Bambakol. Yeah, nothing yet. Again, what are the things you should look for in a guy? If you're
Oh,
yan,
my
laws of the Lord.
earrings?
Yes.
Okay. So my daughters and I will be selling earrings very soon because people keep asking us and we really make our own earrings. So we'll be selling these soon, okay? So stay tuned. All right.
Loves the Lord. City Salik. Great.
That's a good answer.
What to look for not in a man. What to look for in a woman again. Woman. Someone must be a leader, has leadership, faithful with the Lord. Ayan. Someone who prioritizes God first, communication, God-fearing woman. Yes. Attributes like of his mom. Okay, we'll talk about that. That should be interesting. Responsible, intelligent, God-fearing.
You know,
Someone you can
I
worship
don't
God with.
hear that answer a lot, intelligent, but I think that is super important. You know why? Because you really want somebody that you can converse with as you get older, right? And you want to be able to have intellectual conversations, to share insights,
Has
to,
a sense of humor. It's just speaking of that.
right?
Mm.
So I think intellect is actually very important. Now you're going to divide this into negotiables and non-negotiables.
Thanks for saying that. That's supposed to be what I was
Oh,
supposed to say, but
that's not a good trait. to
yeah.
have.
So I think we're done, guys. You know, we're done. Yeah. So ask me the question again. Go. Set it up. What are you?
What should men look for in the woman they want to marry?
Okay. So what has helped me are several layers, right? The first is what Joy already said. You need to separate the negotiables from the non-negotiables. What are things they need to have, and what are the things that are nice to have? And what really inspired me is when I was first thinking about getting married, and I sought a mentor early on. What he did was
Oh,
he
there's
gave me
an
that
audio
piece of
problem.
advice.
There's an
Oh,
audio problem.
okay.
Sorry.
Check that.
Okay. Hang on. We'll just fix this. Okay, we'll just fix it.
Speaking of what to look for, the man. Oh, there we go.
Is
Here,
that
how about
better? Is that better sound?
should be our
Okay.
thing now. Yeah, it's okay. Relax. Come on.
So a woman who's relaxed and not
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
stress out easily.
Doesn't stress out easily. Yeah. Here we go. One more time. Is it on? Is it on? I am. I'm going to keep reading these while I.
Okay. Let's just.
I know here. That's why. There you go.
Oh, there.
Yay.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
You know what? When you do those things, I really get so impressed. I know that it's not a super big deal, but I just get impressed that you take charge. Okay.
Sometimes I get worried because the things that impress you are very shallow. So I don't know if I'm really amazing or I'm really pathetic and you're just very positive. And maybe it's a bit of both. Anyway, not enough of that. So great. Audio's back. Thanks, guys. So here's what I was saying, right? As I met this guy early on when I was about to get married, it's so important that you first classify the negotiables and the non-negotiables. In other words, what you need to have and what is a nice to have, want. And when I learned this principle from, again, a mentor very early on in my early 20s, 20 or 21, I think, in fact, he shared that principle. And what's really sweet is he opened up his wallet. And as he opened up his wallet, he took a piece of paper that obviously was years old. And he showed me. He said, you know, here's the thing that I set up, the needs and wants. And he's obviously a married man, and he had been married for, I think, close to a decade at that point. And as he was sharing it to me, he said, it's good to have this before you're in a relationship so that you can be objective and it can be a good guide. So for the guys out there, needs and wants first. So separate that, right? What is essential and what is nice to have? In the area of essential and needs, I'm going to speak especially as a Christian now. What is clearly important, as many people already answered here, is, and it's similar to the woman, right? Someone who knows and loves God. Knows and loves God. That's important. And I love this picture, right? So when you have these needs and wants, you know, someone who knows and loves God, you want to make sure that you also find someone as a need who has a very aligned mission. And I think we talked about the 3 M's in our last call, right? Master, mission, mate. And so if you, as a guy, want to find the right girl, make sure you are clear on your master, mission, and mate. Master and mission first. Who is it that you will follow? And there are many guys who have different interests and different masters. But as we've shared consistently here, you know, really there really is only one master, who is Jesus. So assuming that master is clear, then is the mission. What will you do as a result of that master? And the mission could be a generic mission and a specific mission, right? Generic would be, what does Jesus ask everybody to do? Is to go and get the gospel message across and make disciples. So that's generic. But to you specifically, as you pursue, you need to figure out what will that be practically for you. What job will you be pursuing? What career? How will you provide? So all
Are
of
you
that.
speaking from the perspective of a man or
Yes,
a
from a man first.
Okay.
This has to be clear to you first,
before you look for a wife?
because it will affect your needs, right? As I was talking about. So if you know what your master and mission are as a guy, it's clear to you. Then as you look now for the needs, someone who loves and knows God, you now want to see if the mission is aligned. And to determine that, you need to make sure that your mission is clear first. For example, if, let's say, as I was getting married, I felt like I wanted to be an expat in Europe. That's where God was calling me. And the girl that I was interested in felt like she wanted to be in the Philippines or maybe even Africa. Then that is a big deal breaker, at least at the first conversation. So you need to make sure that for you, your master and your mission are clear. And look, if your master is not even clear, as you now put the needs, knowing and loving God, it might be different, and that will create a mismatch and a problem for you as well. So when I talk about this, I love how you remember Pastor Ito De Jesus in one of these weddings. It's really,
Yeah.
really impacted us and me. He said, "You want to do this once you have identified your master, in this case Jesus, you run as fast as you can towards him, right? Pursuing your mission. So I'm going to serve God. I'm going to love God in this way. Keep doing that. As a guy, here's what I will do. This is my career. This is my direction. Focus. As you do that, you look to your left and you look to your right. And if you see someone running towards that same master with a parallel mission, you grab her hand. You like that? That's the person you're going to marry. That's why I said it's so important. So in the needs part, in the essentials, loving and knowing God, number one, but number two, also a parallel mission that they can be running alongside you, because that can create lots of conflict if you only figure that out after. So that's a need, right? So those would be the big ones. And then
Well,
as
I
far
do
as
remember-
wants, go ahead.
You know, I do remember that my mom told me before I got married, Joy, wherever Edric wants you to go, you will follow him, because you're marrying him and he's going to lead you. So,
But that's only after checking the major needs first,
Yeah.
right? Obviously.
but I remember, I think that's important too, right? That you marry somebody, you look for somebody who is willing to align herself under God's calling for your life as a man, because you're going to need a helpmate, somebody who's going to come alongside you to support you, to pray for you, to empower you, to encourage you, to really help you pursue what God has called you to, and then it becomes your shared mission together. But you need somebody who's going to be fully supportive of that. So that's why when you said that you must look for somebody who's aligned with your mission, I think that's important.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the wants. The wants are fun. You know, I love how
Wait, is that it?
those are
Are
the
you
major
saying
ones.
those are that's
That's
the
major.
only non-negotiable?
Yes.
You're saying that,
Love God and know God,
okay,
and then the mission is parallel.
okay.
Because
okay.
once you do that as a guy, that's why it's important. Because once you have the master figured out, so first check, loves and knows God, mission is also clear to you. Then that's the only time you will go and pursue a mate or someone who you will be ending up with. So then you have that criteria. You look for them. Go ahead, ask me a question. I love this.
Okay, but can I also
Yes.
insert here? Because don't you think it's also very, very important
To have
that,
light. So I'm gonna add more light.
yeah,
Keep talking.
that the woman that guys are going to pursue, that a guy's going to pursue, has that sense of completeness and security of identity in the Lord, because and this is such a temptation for us as women. It's very, very tempting for us to look for that sense of security and affirmation from a guy. And when you bring that into marriage, we can become like a leech, right? I mean, I've felt that. I've experienced that, where I've wanted you to feel something in me that ultimately I should be getting from the
Mhm.
Lord. So I think it's good to start off where you can see a woman who maybe she struggles with that kind of thing, but ultimately her sense of security, her sense of identity is in Christ. She knows she's loved before she's pursued by a guy.
Nice. I like
Do you
it.
like that?
Yeah.
So
And
she
we
knows
talked
she's
about that
loved
last week,
and
right?
beloved
Yeah.
before she's going to give her heart
Yeah.
to another
We
guy.
talked about how you need to be complete in Christ first, right? Because if you are not, then you will look for it. I talked about that in the girls looking for a guy. So I think we're mirroring it in the same way as what you're saying. So yes, we just need to stress that. And for me, that was in criteria number one. A person who knows and loves God will actually be complete in Christ alone. Alone. That sounds very lonely, but if you really think about it, it's the most wonderful completeness there is. So if that is there, then the woman will be a bonus. And guys, we need to be honest with ourselves. For me, you know, if I could do things differently, I probably would have pushed back a little. I think I pursued Joy a little bit too early, and maybe I was blinded by her beauty
What?
and her personality, and more so her intellect. And
Okay.
no, really, her love for God. But really, I think if I could tell my younger self something, it would be that make sure, Edric, that you are complete in Christ first, and make sure that, well, for her, I thought that was pretty clear, but for me, that was an issue. So, guys, what Joy is sharing, I want to add that as a very good criteria. When you look for the right woman for you, when you look at loving and knowing God, make sure that she is also complete in the Lord. And how will you know that? Let's ask you, how will you know if a woman is complete in the Lord? Because you asked me that about a guy, but for a girl,
Yeah, I think, I'll just speak from personal experience because I've struggled with this, right? I think by God's grace, I knew my identity in Christ coming into the marriage. But there were times in marriage where I was looking to you to make me feel happy or to make me feel special or to make me feel affirmed. And on the one hand, of course, you want to marry somebody who will make you feel that way. But I think ultimately, you have to understand your worth first
Mm,
so that nobody can diminish it,
mm.
right? And so I would tend to react towards you and get upset with you if I didn't feel like you were doing the things that would make me feel complete and not insecure. But let's just take a very simple example lately, right? Do you know how I told you?
Do I know how? Yes. Yep.
You know how I told you, sweetheart, when you oh no, can I share this online?
I'll cut you if you can.
Okay. I've been struggling lately with
Oh no, I don't think you can share that online.
I can't share
Cut,
that.
cut. Bitin, yes, go.
Okay.
Go.
All right. Okay, how are we going to recover from that?
Nothing. Then you go back to your questions to me.
Okay. So
So,
I'll go back to anyway, that's just
these are
something
important
personal. We
needs.
won't cover that tonight.
That's called TMI, and there are limits to this Mondays. Even if many of you have heard many overshares from Joy or even me, there are limits. Sorry, guys. So,
Okay.
needs and wants. Going back to that, the needs would be love God, know God, and then make a parallel mission. I was going to go to the wants, but do you want to add anything else? I was asking, how will you know if a girl is complete in the Lord? So you give advice to a guy. How will I know?
Yeah.
What can I ask? What are the cues?
Yeah, you observe. You observe how she responds to difficult situations. You observe how she processes when she's doesn't always get what she wants. You observe how she treats others. Is she more of a giver or more of a taker? Right? Because somebody who's complete in her identity and secure isn't going to be, let's say, even the stuff she posts online. I think that's a very, very good clue. And I think all of us have this tendency, but it's more prevalent maybe in people who are really dealing with a lot of insecurity.
Here's really quick insert. Look at what's in the shopping cart. If they will let you see that, I think that's very telling also. So,
yeah,
carry on.
but you know how what we post about ourselves on social media is very telling. If a girl that you're interested in is always posting things that are trying to draw attention to herself, her looks, her accomplishments, then for me that's a little bit of a red flag because she's obviously looking for attention, affirmation outside of herself to feel good about herself. And I know that can be a big temptation with social media, but I think it's also a good way for us to assess areas of weakness where we can grow, but also for men to see, if a girl is always posting skimpy photos of herself, I think that's indicative of maybe looking for attention.
But I want us to be careful and also say that you don't want to become judgmental, right? Oh,
Right,
not her,
no.
not her, not her. Because
But
everybody.
we're talking about
everybody-
we're talking about the kind of woman you want to marry.
But I just want to make sure that we take this with a grain of salt. Everybody comes from a ground zero. Right? Everybody has a starting point. And as we shared even last time, you're not going to marry a guy that has all these perfect qualities right away, but is the potential there? Do you see that the indications, the character traits, the seeds are in place? So the same with you. I'm asking, how do you find out if a woman is complete in God? And these are great indications. What they post, whether they draw attention to themselves. But remember, they might be like that now. So you want to ask yourselves, okay, is this a major thing for them? Is this what really defines them? Even in conversations where you're trying to nudge them in a different direction, they still keep going back to that. Then maybe there's not much potential for them to grow in that area. Versus if they're like, I never saw that before. Her friends have talked to her, you've talked to her, she's like, yeah, I should maybe tone it down a bit. Then you see that, hey, there's potential. This girl is willing to, as we've used many times, become more like Christ.
And I think,
so
for example,
let's show that she's complete in Christ. That's very important.
A woman who is secure will also know how to handle correction or suggestions with grace.
That's good.
And this is hard for us women, to be honest. Because,
it is. Why?
Yes, because we're prideful,
because
right?
What? Because
Because
so, yes.
So sometimes when we're corrected, then